now, even locally, people co-produce with each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's like ABS, GMA. Who would have thought they would make a
Yeah.
film together?
How about you, Bianca? You've got, what's your record? 7 countries working in one?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Or
that's so
8 or
complicated.
9?
The great thing about a foreign co-producer is that it opens the world for you.
I want to be the person who's like a mother to the film but doesn't have all the responsibilities of a director.
What have you learned working with collaborators abroad? Ikaw, Bianca.
Vietnam was, I love everyone there. I love the marriage there. But it's really different. The Western people, France, Germany, European countries, they like to have everything planned and you have to follow the plan. In Southeast Asia, it changes every minute. And we can't keep updating them. Oh, it changed to this, to this, to this. So it became a... And you know, in Southeast Asia, we don't communicate properly.
You have a way of communicating.
Yeah, we have a way of
When it
communicating
comes to
with...
money, by the way.
Yeah, and we
Money.
want...
true.
not that we don't want to communicate with them, it's because we just want to troubleshoot and finish the shoot first. And then we'll deal with all the emails. And So I think at first it was like, what do you call that?
Adjustment.
Adjustment, and there's cultural differences that you have to solve. But in the end, you get the groove and you become best of friends. So I think that's also one magic of co-production.
How about you, actually?
You learn. For example, building on the cultural differences. For example, when we were getting Mondo Manila, Alipato approved by the German censors, it's interesting that it contains a lot of nudity, but they found nothing objectionable about all that nudity. There was a scene where a pregnant woman was having sex, and no questions whatsoever. The only thing that they found offense with is one of the kids was wearing a mushroom penis. It's just a costume, and in Japan, it's actually classified as a Halloween costume. And hindi siya bastos. It really looks playful. And that was the one thing that the
They
German
flagged.
censors, yes,
Yeah.
flagged.
Oh.
And that was strange to us. Also, another thing that we learned is that the Germans are very, very thorough with paperwork, with work culture. For example, while we were editing in Paris, Kevin and I were more freewheeling, like this scene makes sense. And the German co-producer, he forces us to go to the editing room 8 a.m. until at night. And he's very strict, like you cannot take a break just because you want to take a break. So that was a learning moment for us. And I love that the technicals, we learned that for the Germans, for example, when they do subtitling, it's mathematical. Like it's tayo, di ba, mas freewheeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's put this here. Feel ko dito eh. So let's put this here. No.
But the nice thing about Asian co-production for me is like we kind of understand
Each
each
other.
other.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's Indonesian
Yeah.
or Vietnam or Singaporean, you know, there's a silent understanding how we kind of work or make things work. Because like the French or even the North American, it's like they're very strict on what they want to do, and it's very, you know, planned out in advance. But we kind of wing things out, and we understand how that works. You know, it's not an issue. So somehow, you know, if we can, like, for example, save some money, they would understand why you want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that kind of works for us, or as an advantage for Southeast Asia.
Okay, so what we talked about so far is the collaboration, working together. But when the money gets involved, how do you balance that? How do you manage the creative and business sides of your project when you've got a co-producer?
Ayaw sumagot.
Chan, chan, chan!
Okay. Anecdote first. Filmmaker who's also producing his own films came up to me and said, "Do you know?" It was a bit drunk. "Do you know that I owe someone 1.2 million US? And how do I even pay this back?" And my first question was, "How did you even get into that spot in the first place?
1.2
2 million US."
Wow.
And I said, "What's going to happen in your deals? What are the penalties if you cannot pay this back?" I mean, come on, which Filipino producer has 1.2 million US to
spare?
Yes, exactly. So I am terrified of taking private money unless it's clear to me how I plan to make the money
recoup,
back.
yeah.
This is the best thing about funding public funds, no, because it's play money.
Yeah.
You don't have to give it back, or even if it's not, if you cannot get public money, then at least partners that would give you services that you don't have to pay for. I am terrified of taking private money because you always have to put it back, and this is not unique for Filipinos. Another filmmaker said to me, he's a Russian, he said, I had a meeting with a mob and they wanted to put money in my film. And apparently this is common across many countries, that the mob wants, and historically money laundering services in other countries, yes, goes to filmmakers also. No? And so he said, they were offering me money for my next film. And so I said, did you take it? I wanted to know. Because again, protecting the creative and the business side of things both. And he said, no, because when I said, what happens if I cannot make the money back? And they asked me, left knee or right knee?
Oh my God.
Yeah, but he said, oh, it's a joke. But of course, he didn't take the money. So for me, how do I balance? I became a writer on scripts because I wanted to control the budget. And yes, and when you write, then you can, pwede mo ikulong yung kwento eh. We can only afford this space. And so that's mainly how, by controlling the cost on script level.
Yeah.
Secondly, I manage expectations, and I will never touch money I cannot pay back. This is my red line in the sand.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if
But
you're
if
in
it's an investment,
if it's an investment,
it's a risk. You don't know if you can pay it back. No?
does it ever happen to you? Like you Bianca, because you work with a lot of producers, and some of them will probably use the money card. Like, okay, I need to have a say because I'm paying this much, right? The private equity investors. How do you handle that?
I don't remember having
That situation?
an EP that's doing so much creative control.
Didn't use that card on you.
I think when you get a project and you read it, you kind of know if it's commercial or if it's not, and then you're like, okay, this is a Lav Diaz or this is an auteur, so probably I'll exhaust all the public funds first. And then, like for Vietnam, the private equity was like 10%, so 100K. And if you go into a big festival, I mean, not easy, but that's possible to recoup by MGs, minimum guarantees of sales agents and distributors. So it was kind of doable. The risk that I took was in my mother's skin of Kenneth Tagatan, because it's like 50% equity, 50% grants from Philippines, Taiwan, and Singapore. But it somehow paid off because Amazon Prime bought it for 2 or 3 times the budget. So, in the company of Epicmedia, you have some years you lose, some years you have that thing called Tadhana, or you have Patay na si Jesus, and then you have In My Mother's Skin. So the profits that you make you survive for like 2 or 3 years. And then you're like, okay, what's my next money break?
You go from project to project.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so when you're working with artists naman, from different cultures, there are different perspectives. It expands, no? How do these cultural exchanges influence how you tell stories?
I kind of answered that earlier. Like, there is, I got into the whole producing thing because I fell in love with the whole creative producing, and at the same time going to the development stages of the production. So once you start reading the script, getting all the inputs in from the different countries, and even for yourself, making sure that your input is respected in a way. I think it helps, make a very good project in terms of a co-production. So, for me, if we start from the script level, I think that's a good way to start a co-production.
Well, that's sort of what ActionNet has done too. Control it from a script level. But is there a moment during your co-production journey where something changed in how you handle filmmaking and how you see filmmaking, the filmmaking process?
Every project, I guess, gives me some lessons to learn, sometimes the hard way. But, I've always wanted to have to put Filipino elements on each project that I go into. But of course, I let that go, especially when I co-produced an Indonesian film, a Malaysian film, a Vietnamese film. And also, like I always say, it's a Indonesian historical film, so I wouldn't understand it. But when you read a script, regardless if it's Indonesian or if it's a Vietnamese film, even if it's very specific, you understand it because it's about feeling.
Yeah.
It's about the journey of
Yeah.
the character. If you really don't understand it, that's a structure problem. But I think feeling a script is universal. And that's why before I was like only Filipino project. But now I really fall in love with different scripts from all over the world.
How about
Yeah.
you, Ashunit?
Next question.
Nothing has shifted? Nothing has changed from the first project to now?
Well, there are character growths. If anything, I think mas wild kami now because yes,
You think more out of the box.
Yeah, there are no mistakes. Always you learn this that and even mistakes end up strengths somehow when you assess after you've done the post-mortem on the projects. You
What's
realize
Cavin's most narrative work? Is it Balangiga?
it is
Balangiga.
Balangiga. You know,
Yeah.
Carlo Vivariga was saying
Yeah.
that I don't think I've ever seen.
It's my favorite.
It
Yeah.
is. I keep. Well, I can't push him into anything, but I keep encouraging by writing that we should do more narrative. But he thinks of narrative as just a throwaway element. So often when we go to pitch, it's hard to present a script because we don't have one.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've had projects where we start off with a playlist or with a poem, like Ruin Heart started with a poem. And we're lucky that our co-producers somehow they're
They
along
got
for
it.
the ride. So it's more of a feeling thing. And I remember one time all I had to pitch with was a 30-second cartoon, black and white. I did this in Puchon and Kevin played the piano and that's it. And how do you even sell that? But at the same time, that's also what's great about selling a story in the developing stage because you can feel out partners that early when you have something so raw.
But also, in contrast to that, when you sell a project in development stage, it's so hard to convince people because it's either it becomes a success or it becomes a mistake.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, because there's nothing. Like,
there's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
potential.
yeah, in their head they fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
But that's a skill, right? That's
Yep.
where you. Where
You're
you
essentially
convince
selling
people.
air.
Yeah.
Like one thing I'm learning from this whole process of co-production is like writing applications. Because for me, that's something we don't really do here.
Yeah.
But when you do apply for grants and all this stuff, you really have to understand your director and what she wants. And then you have to transpose that to an application, which is totally different from one another. And so you have to adapt even the stories or even how you write it down. So for me, that's one thing I'm learning
Yeah.
quite a bit because you go through all these grants and all these incentives, but you have to write what your director's thinking. And sometimes you guys don't really match, but you have to cater it to the application, for example. So that's a skill, I think, that producers would want to have. I'm slowly learning because it's hard.
Well, when you apply for these grants, right? One of the questions is really for whom and what your plan is for the film, right? So as our films start to travel because of the co-productions, how do you position your film for both the local and the global audiences? Is it either or? Can you do both? Is it something that's clear to you at the start, or is it something you discover at the end?
It's everyone's dream.
Yeah.
Target both local and global audiences. Only Parasite was able to do it. And maybe, in a way, Antoinette Hadaune's Sunshine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Which
think
was
Sunshine is a recent
Prestige.
example.
Yeah, Prestige and local audiences. I think for Sunshine, I don't know.
Did you know for Sunshine that it can work for both?
Writing Sunshine, I think Tonette was very clear that she wanted to do a festival film.
Okay.
And we were rejected everywhere until Toronto picked us. And because of that, Berlinale was interested again. So they considered us for Generation. And then we won the Crystal Bear. So the Berlinale Crystal Bear was unexpected. But she really wanted a festival film that will travel. because she's been doing a lot of local mainstream films. So
Yeah.
this was for her a break. But then knowing Tonette, she has this masa sensibility. So she knows how to do a very taboo subject and make it very accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
So we didn't really expect a 45 million theatrical gross, but we expected probably less than that. But we knew that it was somehow gonna make money. But we also kept the production budget very small, I guess. And then
How
we
much
know,
was it? If you don't...
I think less than 20. Then we had a theatrical release that was about 45M, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, Netflix always buys an Antoinette Downey. But a lot of people are angry.
Why?
Because it's, you know, the
this is the
topic.
Philippines.
Oh,
the
okay.
Philippines.
Because of the subject matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how can co-productions between the Philippines and other countries naman help Filipino films connect with an international audience? Like films that are, I guess, Filipino with a Filipino voice. How can we bridge that for the international audience?
Would the Love Diaz film do that, you think?
Yeah, my first instinct as a producer is to really look for a Filipino director, writer. And I've been struggling to get new voices. Maybe I should look more. I haven't looked enough. But when you have a Filipino film and you do an international co-production, that itself is opening it to global audiences. Because let's say you have a French co-producer, you are sure that the French co-producer will look for distribution in France.
Okay.
So most of the time, if you have a French co-producer, it will be released in France.
Yeah.
And then if you have 7 co-producers in one Filipino film, then you're like, okay, it's gonna be released in 7 territories.
Yeah.
And let's see, because the next Filipino film that will travel, we can't announce yet, and is an international co-production, is Filipiniana. So we're waiting how that goes, because we have a U.S. sales agent.
Is this Raf Manuel?
Yeah, Rafael Manuel, yeah.
When you talk about a sales agent, is that something that comes with the co-production, or when you get started in the co-production?
Yeah, how early do you board a
Yeah.
sales agent in your case?
If it's a named director like Love Diaz, they would want to be on board early. But if it's a first-time director, maybe rough cut stage.
Wait and see.
And if it's a director they're not sure of, they'll come in after a festival premiere, which I think is cheating. Because you're supposed to help me get a festival premiere.
But you're
right?
doing
I'm
the work
your
already.
job, yeah.
It's like, because I just finished a Canadian-Philippine co-production. I'm learning so much about Canada. And somehow sales agents are attached because they know, given the model that they have for grants and incentives, they would need to release it in Canada. So the sales people are actually already set. For example, our film is going to be released early next year in North America. So there is that whole territory already. So the rest is kind of like.
So they carved it out
It's
already.
like, like icing on a cake. So if it gets out there. So for me, it secures them, I think. But for us, like smaller territories, like, okay, how do we release this in the Philippines? So that's a challenge that I think we all
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. I'm curious though. So, okay, so you got a co-producer, you've already gone through the production process. What is considered a success in the co-production space? Just making the film done, having the film made, or releasing the film? What is a successful co-production for you? Jeanette, you first.
I think it's making your money back, among other metrics. There are many metrics, but making your money back, because that allows you to create more
The next
in
one.
the future. Yes, because if all you do is keep losing money, then there's nothing for the next one. There's that. And then another one would be, is it a relationship that the two of you would want to continue well into the future? Another. And third is, if it doesn't leave you feeling like you betrayed yourself and your director and the rest of your family. I mean, yes, that would be my metrics for. And how many people did it reach? Did it reach new territories or spaces? For example, it's not uncommon for a film you premiere and then you get invited to exhibit in a museum, things like that. So that's also included in my metrics for, is the co-production successful, is the film successful. I think one thing that I would like to not happen in the future so much, because it makes me sad, is that Filipino filmmakers have to take their films abroad first for them to get a venue locally. That's just
Create
sad.
noise,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
That is very sad for me because again, it's almost as if it's validating that the Filipino audience needs validation from abroad first for them to deem your film. Parang nagmamalimos ka ng audience.
That's true.
Yes. And
I
this
like
is-
that term that you're looking for validation first before you
that you
release it
first
here.
must earn your chops abroad because this is a local film meant for local audiences, and imagine needing to take your film abroad first and before you can bring it home, diba? And it makes me sad every time I see blank is coming home, because we should be, in an ideal world, we should be starting with our local audiences first.
Sadly, that's the reality.
Yeah, because
I hope that
like for
changes.
example, Topak.
Topak.
Topak. No, the film Topak. It's a local film. It's an action. Richard Somes was really working on a genre that we normally see here in the Philippines, but we had to do an international premiere. So we went to Locarno. We showed it in Cannes, and so to get that audience, and we're hoping the Filipino audience would actually be interested to watch too. So for me, I agree. Yeah, I wish we could just show it here and then be happy with it. But there is that need to attract our Filipino audience. Somehow, I want to say nawawala yung interest ng mga Filipinos to watch our own, which is sad. And we watch Indonesia or Vietnam, they still flock in the cinemas. But somehow, we have
hasn't
a problem
happened
we
here
need to
yet.
fix.
But I don't think it's just the Philippines, because it's this whole system where Cannes needs a world premiere,
Yeah,
Berlinale
exactly.
needs
Even
a
the
That's also
US
true.
wants a premiere
Yeah.
in Cannes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a premiere.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, because the next generation of Filipino filmmakers are growing up seeing that these collaborations are the new normal. No? What support systems do you think can be strengthened for future co-productions to work? What support systems do these new filmmakers need?
A support system that we need, FDCP has to maintain all the funding supports that they're giving us.
Consistency.
Consistency, and we have to be competitive with Thailand in terms of the rebates. Because I think our rebate is still a bit small compared to what Thailand can give. I think that's it. I think we are one of the strongest Southeast Asian countries in terms of co-production because of the system in place.
That's good. How about you, Jeanette? What do you think?
When we talk about the future, I think the important thing for the future is not just to cross the bridge, but to institutionalize the bridge.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
So, for example, what FDCP is doing, hopefully, these would be long-term things that doesn't change with leadership. Number one, and number two, my wish list, personal, would be that filmmakers be taught the elbow grease side of things. For example, taxes. Because yes, we have all these trainings on for creativity, but we don't have the practical side of things. And I even think it would be great for filmmakers to learn how to be producers.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't put people like us out of jobs. I don't think this is possible. I think that it would be great for them to learn because one, then they would appreciate their producers
Yeah.
better once they
Yes.
realize how
You speak
hard
the same
it is.
language.
Yes. Once they realize how hard it is, they understand how exhausting the process can be, how long it can take. So it manages their expectations right from the start. And they're also aware where to meet you, expectations-wise. And if they decide, I can do this for myself, they can. We give them the tools. I think, yes, there's that. Training for the technicals, the elbow grease side of things, I would call them taxes, how to structure a contract, what to look for in contracts. Because
Yes.
there are people you can learn from. In the beginning, this wasn't possible, but now it's
Yeah.
possible to ask people. And perhaps we can avoid so much heartbreak in the future if the new breed of filmmakers would know what to look for in contracts, what to avoid, things like that.
How about you, Will?
I concur.
Anything else? No, but okay. Well, we're
No,
going.
no, but just to add to that, it's like I agree with the institutionalizing stuff that's happening now, because it happens in other countries like Singapore. Change of the incentives change,
Everything
or
changes.
I'm hoping we'll add more to what we currently have. because I think there is always room for improvement there. Because not everyone gets the maximum incentive per application, for example, or per approved application. So I wish we can add more to that. And the country would recognize it is a creative industry, that there is a business that needs to be had, that we add to the GDP and all that stuff. And also, audience development. I don't know how we can do that clearly. I know FDCP has a 5-year plan and the execution of it, and how would the audience actually be developed during that whole 5 years. Because I think that's something we desperately need.
Yes, we need more than financing. We need distribution support.
Yes.
Yes. We need an audience out there that's
Yeah.
actually watching the stuff that we make, right?
But also, Percy, in Germany, I learned that they have this Kulturgut. It essentially means German cinema is part of German cultural heritage. So once you access public fund as a German producer, you are required to deposit copies of your film with required documentation to their archive. And that's amazing because as an unintended bonus to co-producing with Germany, Kevin has his films archived.
Oh,
like yes,
okay.
they are preserving it for him. And it would be great if we could have similar initiatives also, no, for preservation, because we talk about the future. We mustn't lose our films in the
Yes.
present.
Yes.
Even as they're already working on initiatives to preserve films from the past, the future.
Our present systems have to be
Yes,
in place,
yes.
right?
Like one experience I had, actually this was just last year. I actually saw Sunshine in Berlin. And I was so impressed by how the theater was full.
2,000 seater, I think.
Yeah, and the seats in front of me were all young teenagers, and they were, at the beginning there, I'm old man saying, oh my God, the teenagers are in front of me. But when the film started, they were all watching. They're not talking to each other. They're really immersed into the film. And when the Q&A started, they started asking questions. So it's like, this is audience development. At an early age, they're trained to watch films like Sunshine, or films like, that's beyond the commercial stuff that we see on TV. So I wish we have programs like that, not just how to make a film, but how to watch films.
How to appreciate a film.
How to appreciate it.
And the thing about these films, like Sunshine especially, which is, I think, the phenomenon of the year, because it started, it got a lot of buzz on social media, it got a lot of people interested. And I think there's a new wave of filmmakers, because every film that hits an audience, there's a percentage of that audience that wants to be filmmakers, right? Once it becomes inspired. So if there's a young producer who's watching, we come to the most important, the Miss Universe question. What would be your advice if they want to, make films with the world? Let's start with you, Will.
Producers
Miss Universe.
or filmmakers in general?
I guess let's go with producers.
Okay.
Because I'm sure the directors covered the directors already.
Okay.
We want to inspire more producers.
Yes, yes.
That's for me, like when I look at a project, not all projects are meant for co-production. So I really stress that, because sometimes I've seen it, like, people try to make it a co-production because they want to get the funding. But sometimes you have to recognize, no, this is just a local film. Or this is something that can be done in a smaller scale. So I think recognizing that is one thing. But it's also one thing to think about the long journey ahead, that it's not easy. If we really want to do producing and doing co-production and all that, it will take a lot of your time, a lot of your energy. Sometimes you don't get paid. Sometimes you have to think about how to pay yourself in other ways aside from doing production. So I think there's a reality to it. Tayong mga Pinoy, we're really, the Filipinos, you tend to think, when we mentioned this earlier, it's when you say a producer, it's all about the money and you have the money. A lot of the producers I know don't have that money or have that luxury, but they have the brains to actually find the funding and find the money. So that's the bulk of the job, I think. And when there's a future producer there that's thinking of doing this, you gotta love it. You just gotta love it. It's not easy.
How about you, Jeanette? What's your advice?
Watch a lot of films. I think we all need to start there because there are some people who might fall into producing or filmmaking thinking it's easy, it's glamorous. These are just trappings but at the heart of every producer and filmmaker, I think, is a cinephile.
Yes.
Someone who just loves film. So watch a lot of films because it also allows you to understand your voice better. So watch, and then if you have the resources for it, so attend film festivals because it would open the world for you. I think let's start with those two first because these are easily doable. And on the wish list that we were throwing out kanina, it would be great if Quezon City, it offers free films, diba, every Monday to seniors. And maybe in the future we can have an initiative where students can watch films
students,
for
yeah.
free
Yeah.
every Friday.
Yeah.
That would be
You know,
nice.
because tickets are just so expensive, and if we want to develop an audience who are as young as that would be a great initiative.
And I will just jump in there because my wish list is that for students to watch in the cinema.
Yes,
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
that's the problem. They're
Exactly.
getting used to watching it on their laptops.
Yes.
So we're, you know, the cinema audience is shrinking because they're not going to the cinema anymore.
And if we could have an initiative like the senior program where they get to watch films for free, that would be so amazing.
That's a good idea.
How about you, Bianca? What's your advice to the future Bianca? Wow. Future Bianca.
I love what you do. It's not gonna be easy. There are days when you are not motivated at all because you've been rejected by all the funds and rejected by all the festivals. So write a producer statement. A producer statement is a one-pager of why you love doing this film and why you're on board this project. And after 3 years, 5 years, you're still like, oh, I've been rejected everywhere, and you still want to do it. Read your producer statement so you fall in love with the project again.
I like that.
And of course, you know, the reason why we're all here is because we haven't quit. It's really, anong tawag doon? It's a game of survival, but also in a way it has to be sustainable. Yeah.
Was there a point? I'll just add this question.
Yeah.
Was there a point where you really thought of it? Thought of quitting? I mean, this is too hard. This is, you know, we can just bake, sell the cookies, you know?
I shared something like this the other week. So I actually had that because I agree. You get so much rejection. You just say,
Yeah.
"Why am I doing this?" You question yourself. But I think the nice thing what we're having now, because we have an organization called Philippine Independent Producers Guild. We're kind of small group of producers trying to just have a therapy session once in a while in group
So
chats.
that's what it's for.
Yes. Yeah, but
It's not a guild.
It's not a guild. But the nice thing about it is like you have people like Bianca, you have people that have so much experience, you know, and different, you know, practices. Like we have documentarians in that group, and you can just throw in some of your frustration, and they'll respond back, you know, and they'll make you feel better. You can call somebody or, you know, message somebody, and then I think being part of a community would help, you know, alleviate that. So.
I think all of us, like, we wake up and we always want to quit every day,
Yeah,
no? Or is it just me?
No,
You're a producer first, see?
No, there are days and there are months.
Yeah.
And there are years where you feel like, no, this is my malas year. You know, it's like everything's not going well. And
This is my malas day. This is my malas month.
Yeah.
This is my malas
And then
year.
you remember what you're wearing, remember
Yeah.
what you did, you know. But we're still here.
We're still here.
But if it makes you guys feel better, from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've made it.
Wow, you made it.
We have it.
Yeah,
We
it
look
looks
up
like
to
you.
you.
Let's just say
guys
we've
made
all
it.
made it. That's
We've
why
all
we're
made
here
it.
in this table.
No, I think the what Bianca said earlier was exactly where we're at. You have a film, hopefully it makes money so that it can fund your next film,
Yeah.
so that it can, you know, cover the losses of your previous film that did not make money. That's really all it, you know, all this business is. You just keep rolling and
It's
rolling.
a marathon, no?
Yeah.
And you work on a slate. I'm not sure if everybody knows what a slate means. So you have a series of different projects you're working on, and
Different
sometimes
stages.
different stages. And you know, you have one in production, one in development, you have one in post. Yes, at least your mind is, you know, kind of occupies that whole.
It's
3
not
project.
fixated on one project.
One project, but
yeah.
but you wish that you have one of them would be your lucky.
The lucky one.
Yeah.
Your sunshine or something like that. You know.
But after all of these hardships, You watch your film after 7 years of struggle, and that's fulfilling.
That is true.
Yeah.
Actually, when you look back at your filmography, you think, oh my God, how are we able to make all of those?
Yeah.
Like, with Gavin's films coming from Mondo Manila, no?
Yeah.
Parang, wow, there's so many.
Yeah.
Ako naman, I always say, I just want to be a housewife, char.
Wow.
A trophy housewife. But I don't really have this moment of when I feel like quitting because we watch a lot of films every day. Like
You're
every day
always
we watch
excited.
2 to 3 films, one with the kids at least. And we love films so much that every time we watch, we are reminded why we make films, we produce films. So, yun, I mean, we get setbacks in life when we produce, but because every night we get inspired. So,
I think that's the key. I think that's the key.
Can I just share something really weird? Because so we had a screening at the French Film Festival for Elsewhere at Night. It's this Canadian film. So it's a very quiet and it's very sound is really important in the film because it's part of the experience, right? So we're in this theater, and then I'm close to the door, and the door is here, and then the screen's just here, and the door keeps opening and closing. And so I was like, oh my God, what's going on? So I couldn't take it anymore. So I went outside the door.
hinarangan mo.
And there's one person there that's so unlucky because I was like suddenly having this breakdown because like, oh my God, this is cinema. You have to watch cinema in this way. I was lecturing in a way because that's how, and I told her, this is how passionate I am with what we're showing. And we can't just keep opening and closing the door and disturb the experience. And I'm lucky that this person that I was like, holding this tight. I know she was like, I understand. I'm a filmmaker too. I was like, oh my God. So it's like, okay, thank you. It's you that I'm talking to and pouring all this frustration. And then now we're best friends. I love her.
Well,
But for me, that's how I think the people like us,
Yeah.
who watches cinema all the time and who really passionate about it, just to give credit to a lot of people who's doing this. It's really passion, and without it, it's like we could have quit it a long time ago.
Yeah.
and I think that's the important thing is, like now, we have kindred spirits. We share our stories. We have more people to talk to. Because, 2 decades ago or so, maybe there are less people understand what you were going through because you were one of the first. But now there are more people who do international co-productions, more people who are attempting to release films that are indie in the mainstream realm and know how to deal with that, right? I wish we could go on and on, but we have to wrap up this session. So co-productions are more than a business model. They are bridges, and they let Filipino stories travel farther, resonate deeper, shine brighter on the world stage. So thank you, Miss Bianca. Thank you, Miss Ashinette. Thank you, Mr. Will. And to everyone watching, this is Behind the Reel Season 2, where we continue to celebrate the faces and forces that move Philippine cinema.
Thank you, Ma'am Charo. Such a beautiful experience to be interviewing you one-on-one.
Oh my God. Nagkaroon na kami ng TV set. Nanonood ako ng lahat ng ABS-CBN programs. From sign-on to sign-on. Kahit bawal tatakas. Ito na nga, sosyal. Umiinom, nagsisigarilyo. Lahat hindi ko alam gawin. Love naman natin si Mother, pero alam mo na, di ba? Sa umaga, meron siyang desisyon. Tanghali na iba, sa gabi na iba na naman, di ba? Bukas ako